Good afternoon. I am Constance D. Knutson, and I would like to call our weekly informational meeting to order for November 13th, 2007. First, we'd like to have our staff report from Deborah Owen, please.
Good afternoon, Sioux Falls City Council. Actually, a couple of things just to remind you of. Tonight, following the informational, there'll be a land use committee meeting. They'll be discussing the home occupation ordinance. In addition, a heads up to you, I know we've been working on, the public service committees are working on the campaign finance reporting ordinance revision for quite some time, and that will be walked in tonight so that we can get this actually effective before the end of the year. So you'll be asked to vote for that being walked in at the 7 o'clock meeting tonight. In addition, there'll be a levy tour. I know a number of you have signed up for it. If you haven't actually, can you contact us ahead of time so we have enough vehicles there? We have 3 council members so far, so if you hadn't contacted me, go ahead and make sure you've RSVP'd. That'll be 3 o'clock tomorrow. We'll meet here at the Carnegie, and then we'll take off to tour the levees. The press, of course, and whoever else would like to attend certainly can. And then finally, in an effort to keep the council, department heads, the media, the public, council committee chairs and whatnot informed as to the city council committee meetings, Tamara Jorgensen is going to make a brief presentation. It will be very similar to what the clerk's office has instituted for the informational meetings, just a system of actually keeping you all on the loop as to what's on the agenda, and also keeping the department heads and the administration as into what's on the committee agendas coming up. Go ahead, Tamara.
Thank you, Deborah. Good afternoon, Council. Tamara Jorgensen, Assistant City Clerk. I would like to use this time to bring forward a proposal for a new process for the committee meeting requests. There are copies at your desks for reviewing this process if you want to follow along. Otherwise, you can watch the screen. This proposed process is very similar to the existing process that we have for requesting time at an informational meeting. I will go through the benefits in the process in a few minutes, but I'd like to review the basic information first. On the chart that's in front of you, the 3 committee meetings are the Fiscal, Public Services, and Land Use. It also shows the corresponding Assistant City Clerk responsible and the timeline for those meetings. We would like to adhere as much as possible to the scheduled Mondays for these committee meetings. In order for us to do this, one of the benefits of this is that this will allow council members to attend other committee meetings if they so desire, and it will also allow the directors an opportunity to go to these meetings if they want to. The Assistant City Clerks are responsible for the schedule maintenance, the distribution, and the follow-through for these meetings. It is imperative to us that this data is processed quickly, efficiently, and completely. There are a host of other benefits that will result in using this process. It appropriately streamlines committee meeting requests in a manner which has proven successful, as stated for the informational request process. It provides complete and accurate information and timelines. It allows the council chair and the committee chair the opportunity to review and prioritize the requests. It allows administration to view at their leisure what is scheduled and when. It eliminates email and verbal requests, which will result in eliminating miscommunication and the potential to lose a request. It also provides a timely and dependable tracking mechanism for our year-end reporting process, which will show the council how many times the committees have met and when, and the subjects that have been reviewed. The process is as indicated. You go to Insight, you go to the City Clerk site, and you click on Informational and Committee Meeting Request Forms, which is showing in red. Underneath the request forms is the instructional cheat sheet in case somebody forgets how to do this. This is a very efficient method and takes less than 5 minutes from start to finish. The next screen is the login screen, which is the same username and password as the person has for their AS400. The next screen is the meeting request screen, which lists all the committees and the informational. You choose the type of meeting you want to submit your request for. For this demonstration, we have selected the Fiscal Committee. All of these meetings have 3 bullet points under them: view requests, add a request, and maintain the meeting schedule. Anybody can view the request to see if the item has already been scheduled or to see what other items have been scheduled. The City Clerk's office is solely responsible for maintaining the meeting schedule section, and this allows us to delete past meetings and to add new schedules. For this demonstration, we're going to add a request. The next screen gives the applicant the dates, the status, and the cutoff date. They select which date they want, and they submit the request. The request form provides us with all the necessary documentation to complete the process, including who it's from, the telephone numbers, the subject, the length of time, the presenters and their titles, and whether or not this corresponds with any city council meetings. For our benefit, we have added a reminder down there to email the attachments to us so we can set this up in an electronic agenda format. Then they push submit at the bottom. The applicant will receive an immediate notification that he's going to be receiving a request soon. The next screen shows the status is blank, and it needs to be like this because council leadership and the committee leadership has not yet reviewed the information. The directors have until 10 o'clock the Monday before the scheduled meeting to submit their requests. After 10 o'clock a.m., the assistant city clerk that's responsible for that committee will pull the reports and make them available to council leadership and the committee chair for their review and determination. After the feedback has been received from the chair, the assistant city clerk will update the information in the status and the notes and submit the response. The next screen shows that the status is indicated on the screen, which shows in one glance that the item has been approved. At the very same time, the applicant is going to receive an email from the city clerk's office giving them an update on the status of their request, along with automatic reminder notes of what they need to do to prepare for the meeting. As I said before, this has proven highly successful with the informational meeting schedule process. This proposed process will allow us the opportunity to continue to serve the City Council and the administration in a more professional manner. I would like to thank you for your time and consideration, and I'd like to thank Denise Tucker for assisting with this presentation. Are there any questions?
Any questions or comments? Okay, Councilor Costello?
When are you planning on implementing this?
As soon as you give us the green light.
Sounds fine to me.
Okay. Are you proposing a green light?
Sure.
Okay. Anyone, any of the team opposed to putting this policy in place immediately? Okay, don't want to rush you too much, but I think the informational process has worked well. So, okay. Tamara, thank you very much. Let's consider this done, and we look forward to working closely with you on committee meeting requests.
Thank you.
Okay. Next would be the mayor. Oh, there he is. I missed him a minute ago. Is under the mayor's weekly update. I'd like to call Jeff Muntz forward to give us just a brief update on the new diversity council that was announced this morning.
Thank you. Jeff Muntz with the Sioux Falls Human Resources Office. We did have a press conference this morning regarding the newly formed Diversity Council. The Diversity Council is a community group made up with 12 different volunteers. The volunteers, I'll just go through them kind of quickly, is their standing members and at-large members. The standing members, there's 9 of them. The Sioux Falls Mayor, Sioux Falls School District Superintendent, Minnehaha County Commissioner, Lutheran Social Services President, City of Sioux Falls Chief of Police, Multicultural Center Executive Director, Sioux Falls Chamber of Commerce President, North Central Chapter Paralyzed Veterans of America, the Government Relations Director from there, and the Sioux Empire Society for Human Resource Management, their Diversity and Volunteerism Coordinator. We also have added 2 of the 3 at-large members at this point and have a nomination for the 3rd. The Diversity Council is I think, kind of a natural development from the Community Race Concerns Task Force, which was started back in about, I believe, November of 2003. The mission of the Diversity Council is much like the Race Task Force, except it's a bit broader, includes more than just race, includes all different types of classes, such as disability and religion as well. The mission is to create an inclusive community, same as the task force. The duties and responsibilities of the Diversity Council is developing and facilitating awareness activities, convening stakeholders to identify challenges and solutions. Stakeholders are those community people and people in the community that are interested in diversity issues that want to attend. establishing a clearinghouse for diversity activities, exploring partnerships that support the mission of the Diversity Council, and promoting and celebrating the enrichment that comes from a diverse community. Our next meeting is a community meeting, which is on November 29th. The idea is that we would bring the community together to gather some of their concerns and solutions for diversity issues in the community. Our next meeting for the Diversity Council is on January 3rd. Any questions?
Yes, Jeff, a question. First of all, thank you for the update today. And late morning today, a college professor whom I was visiting with told me that he would really like to get involved in this. And so my question is, on the 29th, could you tell us, is that the meeting that's going to be at the Instructional Planning Center, and what time that would be?
On November 29th, that's going to be at the Multicultural Center.
All right.
That starts at 9 a.m.
Okay.
It'll run from 9 to 10:30.
Okay.
And that's really the community group. That's the focus group that we're bringing together. It's the community stakeholders group. The meeting that's on January 3rd is from 9 to 10:30. No, I'm sorry, 1:30, starting at 1:30.
Uh-huh.
And that is at the Instructional Planning Center.
Okay, and if a citizen out there, including this college professor, wants to get involved in some way, should he contact you, or should
Sure.
he come to one of these meetings, or what?
If somebody is interested in some sort of level of involvement with the Diversity Council, they can certainly contact my office at 367-8745 through the Human Relations Commission. If somebody wants to be involved in the community, the real involvement is really going to come through this group that we're going to put together on the 29th. The Diversity Council, this 12-member board, is really just to kind of monitor the activity, to keep things moving, to gather some information, make sure that we're bringing in those groups that are necessary to work on projects. This won't be a project working group. The project working group will really be those volunteers that come together on the 29th, much like it's been in the past. I think with the Diversity Fair in the past, we've had as many as 20 volunteers on that group putting together that particular project, and we see that as a similar format for this next step.
Thank you, Jeff. Would you just state your phone number, office phone number, one more time, and your email address, please, for anyone in the community that wants to get involved with you on this project?
Sure. My office is in Human Resources. It's the Sioux Falls Human Relations Commission, and the number is 367-8745. Or you can send an email to humanrelations@siouxfalls.org, and that'll come into our office, and we'll make sure we take care of it.
Thank you very much. Any questions or comments from the rest of you? Okay. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Okay. At this time, we will give our committee reports, and we'll start with Audit Committee. Councilor Kavanaugh. Okay. Fiscal Committee, Councilor Costello.
No report.
Okay. Land Use Committee, Councilor Jameson.
Just that we've got two items before us this evening, the video lottery and the home occupation.
Okay, and you may not have seen my email that I sent you kind of late afternoon, mid-afternoon, just indicating that that we are comfortable, I believe we are comfortable deferring the video lottery discussion a little bit longer. I don't know if you saw that email. And Public Services Committee, Councilor Brown.
No report.
Okay. Open discussion among any of you on any topic?
Well, I guess I have a question about land use and public service meeting at the same time again.
Okay. Okay. Let's see.
Bob, you're on both, aren't you? So Bob and I are on both of them.
Okay. Is it Public Services Committee is scheduled usually for the second Monday of each month, and then the Land Use is scheduled for the third Monday of each, or the last Monday of each month. And so, am I missing something there?
We end up with a conflict, I think, because we carried our meeting from last week forward to this week.
Okay.
We don't have a public
I was gonna
services
say-
committee meeting today.
Yeah, I
The
can think.
levy
yeah.
tour is taking the place of this committee meeting this month.
Okay. So that should all work out fine, I believe. Okay. Any other open item discussions? Okay, seeing none, we'll just continue with our agenda. Is that our next item is a staff report on Drake Springs Nelson Park concept plan presentation, and our Director of Parks and Recreation, Don Kearney, will lead this effort and introduce the guests who are with us. Thank you, Don.
Thank you. Don Kearney with Parks and Rec. Before you today is what we hope to do is to share the results of our public meetings that we held back in October on the Nelson Park Master Plan and on the Drake Springs Pool amenities. We conducted 3 different public informational sessions and had a design charrette where we worked through those different concept plans with the general public. And today with us is Craig Roy. He's with Water's Edge Aquatic Design. They are our lead consultants on this project. Craig will introduce the consultant team, and the consultant team will work its way through the findings with you through a PowerPoint presentation that we have here today, and then obviously certainly be available for questions. But our goal will be able to present those findings and recommendations, and then hopefully be able to move on to final design so that next spring we can start construction on the outdoor facility at Drake Springs. So with that, I'd introduce Craig Roy.
Good evening. My name is Craig Roy with Water's Edge Aquatic Design. As Don mentioned, we're the prime consultant that's been retained to complete this project, which is basically a 2-phase project. First is the park master plan, and then second to that is the design of the outdoor aquatic center. To complete this project, we've assembled a team of consultants. Our primary role will be to focus on the planning and the design of the aquatic facility. We've also got Sayer Associates, who is a local consulting firm, with us here today. We've got 2 members from Sayer here, Doug Hoy and Paul Korn. Their primary role with us will be doing the site civil engineering design, and also be assisting us with doing a lot of the on-site inspection during the construction phase. We've also got Liz Squire with Architecture Incorporated here. She'll be focusing on the architectural design of the buildings. And then lastly is Justin Platts with RDG Architecture. Their principal role with this is the park master planning and also helping us with the landscape architecture on the design phase of this. So like I said, this is a 2-phase project. What we wanted to do tonight is to present the master plan phase. Once this portion of the project is complete, we'll be focusing on the detailed design of the aquatic facility itself. So I'm going to turn it over to Justin then, who's going to talk about the park master plan.
Hello, good evening. My name is Justin Platts. I'm a landscape architect with RDG Planning and Design out of Des Moines, Iowa. My job on this project is going to be leading site design on the aquatic center and working with Doug and Paul on that. They've been very helpful up to this point, and also going to be leading master plan design, and have been working through the different public meetings we've had, and going to present to you the process that we've gone through tonight, and then also where it's taken us to and where we hope to go here in the next couple months. Next slide. So we came to town on October 1st, actually got here the night before, and worked through October 3rd, had a very good session. What we like to do is set up a work session where we can get as much public input as possible. And in all of the work that we do and all the work that I've done, public input is key to having a successful project. And having folks involved from all areas of the community from the beginning really helps to streamline the process, because folks get what they want from the outset and are able to inform design. If we go to the next slide. So, what are the things that we heard at the workshop discussion? Well, we heard that cohesive design and the flow of the park, not having 2 parks, a north and a south park divided by Fairfax Avenue. We heard that having a safe Fairfax Avenue, a safe condition there where folks could feel free to cross the street, where people could interact both north and south side, goes to the cohesive design, the 1 park, not 2 aspect. Multiple activities and age groups. Some of the things that we heard were that folks aren't out there all that often, especially in the early season, spring, later season, fall, and also winter, and folks want to see people out there, want to animate that park with a number of different uses. Obviously, the aquatic center, the history of the Drake Spring and the site. want to reveal that history, want to celebrate that history, and bring that out into the open and make it something that people can interact with. Environmental quality is going to be important with our proximity to the river, and also with the idea that we are going to be doing new development. There are going to be a number of different aspects that come along with that as far as water quality are concerned, erosion, those types of things. And the big deal, number 9, getting people using this park. And there were others, but these were the all-encompassing aspects that we've heard so far, or that we heard at our sessions. So how do we figure out what goes where? That was one of the big deals. Well, we have a series of what we'll call site constraints. We've got the geology and topography. We've got utilities that are out on the site. We have got the site boundaries. We've got adjacent land uses. Different land uses preclude certain aspects of the park happening in certain areas because they're not as attractive. Safety concerns, traffic, and also what's not on there is also hydrology, the level of the groundwater that's out there, and is part of the issue with the current Drake Springs facility. Community input is huge, and I would think that the folks would have felt or feel that they have been a part of this. We had more than 60 individuals participate in our 3 days of planning. We had a Monday evening information session where we threw out some ideas. We got quite a lot of input. We went back to work on Tuesday morning, worked through till Tuesday afternoon. Tuesday afternoon we had an informal session where folks were able to walk around, ask us what we were doing, say, no, I don't like that, I do like that, move this over there, I don't think that works well there. Then we went back to the drawing board again and had a formal meeting again Tuesday night. And then on Wednesday morning, we even had an informal session with a couple of folks who had issues with some of the things that we had talked about on Tuesday night and wanted to talk again. And we hung around for that and spoke to them until noon, and some of those folks are here tonight. So spatial organization, demands of each use, area needed, parking needs. That parking drives quite a lot of things, as I'm sure a lot of you folks know. An aquatic center has a certain amount of parking that it's going to require, as does a skate park, as does any type of garden areas, playground features, sport courts, those types of things. Pedestrian needs, getting people through the space efficiently, but also helping to animate the park. People seeing other people out in the park definitely helps out with its desirability and safety aspect. Shelter needs. And then complementary uses in history. Go ahead and just read through these. We had a series of different concepts that we went through as far as master plan goes, based on the information that we received from folks. I believe we had 7 different concepts that we came up with for the park area, settling on a concept that worked best to achieve the goals that we heard from the public input, and there were some compromises. But helping out with getting safety, helping with the safety aspect, helping with the cohesive design and the idea that the park flows together well. To the next. This is the preliminary master plan. This is what we're bringing to you tonight. There's a number of different things that are going on here, and I'd like to just simply walk you through these. We'll blow up certain areas and talk through those. But as you can see, the main element is the aquatic center there. We have 10th Street on the north. We have Cliff Avenue on the east there. We have the South Dakota Department of Labor and Services building there off to the west, and then to the south we have the railroad. And in the south and west corner we also have the existing Drake Springs area.
Very nice one, Scott.
Our pool area. If we go to the next. So in the center aspect, an organizing element of this is the roundabout. And what the roundabout does for us is, number one, helps us to manage the speed of traffic on Fairfax. A lot of folks currently, as we've observed it and what we've heard from anecdotal evidence, hearsay from a number of individuals, that people come off of 10th Street and cut through there to get to Cliff, and that people move through there pretty fast. Being out there, the cross section of that roadway is about 55 feet. Typically, a nice park roadway would be at a maximum of 25 feet. If it didn't have parking, we'd have 2 nice 12-foot lanes with a 6-inch curb on either side. So 55 is quite a bit larger than that, and it's actually double that. And if you're not programming parking on that, you're not programming bike lanes, those different things, people are going to be feeling as though they can really move through there. So we have this element, an organizing element to move into the north and south parking lots, as well as to slow people down coming through there and help people cross that in a safe manner. A roundabout alone is not going to do it. There's going to have to be signage that comes along with that. We've talked with city engineering and all those things about that. We will have recommendations for those pieces as the master plan progresses and as we hand off the final deliverable. Go to the next slide. Landscape medians. Another thing that helps to slow down folks is greenery. You'll see in a number of different cities, wide boulevards, street trees that are somewhat close to the roadway but still respect safety zones, still are able to plow snow off easily enough. Up in McKinnon area, there's a small boulevard up there. It's very nice. It helps to give that residential feel to the street. We think that adding this in there will help to slow folks down and also will give a nice add to the pastoral nature of what we're trying to accomplish with the master plan. The skate park. We had quite a few folks show up, talk about the skate park, talk about the existing conditions out there, what it is that they'd hope to see. Skating as a sport is something that we have dealt with in the past. We've done a few different facilities in the area, or not, I shouldn't say in the area, but in Iowa and Midwest area. Closest to here would be Spencer, Iowa. But looking for the upgrade of some of the facilities out there and the potential expansion at some point. Next slide. Open space and plantings. Open space is going to be very important. We want to have as much open space out there as we can, and what we're calling it is non-programmed recreational open space. Now, it's a mouthful, but really what we're saying there is we're going to maintain areas for play, for soccer, for flag football, for frisbee, for baseball, softball practice, those types of things, but we won't necessarily be programming them, enclosing them in with fences, throwing down the chalk lines, skinning ball fields, all of that. Our recommendation would be to have areas for those things to take place, and those things might be marked out at different times of the year if folks are interested. But we wouldn't be looking at having, one of the recommendations would be that the ball field that's out there right now, based on where the location of the aquatic center and those things, that we would still have an area out there that could have a ball field. And we've talked through this with folks, and I think we're getting to a place where folks are comfortable. There wouldn't be the skinned ball field. We wouldn't be looking at having the fencing. We wouldn't be looking at having the overhead lighting. But we would be looking at providing a space for practice, a space large enough where people could be out there hitting balls, playing, and all of those things. But it wouldn't be an organized and regimented ball field. Next. Playground. Playgrounds are very important, especially to parks. People love to see children playing. They are also help to get a lot of different folks of different ages into a space. One of the things that we're looking at as far as a recommendation is not necessarily putting in a prefabricated play system, something that's your primary color, tubular steel play equipment, and looking at something that might be a bit more naturalized. And natural is not a great word because it implies a lot of different things, but what we'd be talking about is using earth, stone, plantings, those different types of things to create a play experience that isn't as regimented as you might typically find at different playgrounds around the country. Go next. And then one thing that I'm very excited about is the historical sunken garden. We heard quite a lot about the fact that there is, or there was at one time, a sunken garden in this park area, especially over in the Drake Springs area. We've gotten this postcard from a gentleman about what it looked like at one point. And as part of this master plan, we're looking at, with the demolition of the Drake Springs, I'm sorry.
Excuse me for interrupting you. Will you just move a little bit closer to the microphone? I just had a request from Media Services. Thank you.
Sounds good. I'm usually loud enough anywhere I go. It's not usually a problem I hear. With the sunken garden, we'd be looking at revealing a part of the past, something in that area. It's also if you're looking at the postcard, the image there, it's a beautiful space. I think it'd be a wonderful place. We've heard from a number of folks that it was something that people would go there for their exercise, not necessarily swimming, but would be walking around the walking paths, going up and down the stairways and all of that. It's something that we need to do more research into, but it's definitely something we're very interested in pursuing. And it's something that we've gotten quite a lot of public input, positive input on. Go to the next. Craig will speak to the aquatic aspects here.
In addition, during this workshop to developing several master plan ideas, we also developed several concepts for an outdoor pool so that we could get feedback from public on what types of features they might be most interested in. Several concepts were developed. The two you see here ultimately ended up being the ones that seem to have the most interest in terms of the features that were shown. You'll see that there are, between the two layouts, some of the same features will show up. We had a lot of interest in maintaining some of the traditional features like lap swimming and diving, while we also had a lot of interest with providing some of the newer aquatic features like a lazy river, water slides, the zero-depth entry with lots of interactive play features. The two layouts you see here represent the types of features that will be incorporated in a final design. When these were developed, it was not with a known site location within the park in mind. So once the master plan has been accepted, we'll have to adapt these to the specific site, as well as that we've received a few comments on these layouts in terms of what kind of improvements they would like to see. With layout A, they would like to, we heard interest in larger lazy river, a longer one similar to what was shown in layout C. Also, there was desire to relocate the water slide so they entered into the lazy river area and incorporating a raft slide. So once you went down the water slide, you could then continue the experience on into the lazy river and float around the lazy river. With layout C, that one, basically we had connected the shallow pool with the lazy river, and there was some interest, primarily from staff because of some operational issues there with separating those two bodies of water. This next slide represents the features, many of the features that were discussed and shown to the public, many of which or most of which would be incorporated in the final outdoor swimming pool project. The water slides, several different water slides are being considered. The lazy river had a lot of interest, as well as, again, lap swimming. We would certainly have concessions with shaded areas, toddler slides, and a lot of interactive play stuff for the little kids.
Okay. As part of the master plan, and I should say this, I should have started off with this, but a master plan is something that's a 5, 10, 15, and 20-year plan. It's somewhat of a living document, similar to a comprehensive plan, as in it's going to change as uses around the area change and desires of the community change. As part of that, we're looking at phasing. Phase 1 of this master plan is the aquatic center, the parking required as part of the aquatic center, and then on Fairfax Avenue, we would simply be looking to do lane striping. So we would be looking at denoting or delineating turning lanes in the aquatic center area. The remainder of the phasing has yet to be worked out, something that we're working through, that we'll work through with staff, and based on the public input we receive, the different things that are going to have a higher level of desire. And we'll break those out with a series of costs associated with those so that people understand what it is it's going to take to do the entirety of it. And this is what you're looking at here, then, is the Phase 1 master plan development, the Aquatic Center, parking, and Fairfax Avenue. At this time, Don has a few things he'd like to say.
I just wanted to note that the Parks and Recreation Board did review the concept plan both for Nelson Park and the list of amenities that we've shown you for the outdoor aquatic center. The other thing that I would note that while the Park Board did recommend approval of both the master plan and the aquatic facility, they certainly would like to see the improvements made to the street, realizing, though, that that is not part of our budget for the aquatic center. Certainly, there's an aquatic facility there now that functions with the existing street that's in place. The additional activity that we would hope that we would see with this aquatic center obviously going to generate some more traffic. And so the request was that possibly work through with Public Works and and through our CAIP process to try to implement some of those, but realize that it's not part of the initial Phase 1 that Justin just alluded to. So that's the extent of our presentation. Justin, did you have anything else? So we'll take questions now.
Yes, thank you all for the presentation, and Brenda, thank you for being here to help also. Councilor Stagers.
Yes, Don, the initiative talked about spending a maximum of $4.7 million. Any rough ballpark figures on the concept that we have now for the pool?
Yeah, we believe that we're really basing that on the square footage, Mr. Staggers. We are anticipating anywhere from 10 to 11,000 square feet. That's about what's there now, and we believe that most of those features that we showed on that slide can be incorporated within that dollar amount. which also includes obviously the design and the removal of the existing facility. So we're pretty comfortable with that cost estimate.
And then also, too, it was mentioned that the staff wanted to have separate waters. Can you explain that?
I might turn that over to Barb.
Hi, Barbara Hermanson, Recreation Manager. The reason that we were wanting separate waters were due to fecal incidences. If we have separate bodies of water, especially for the littler kids, we can shut down that side of the pool and still keep the other pool areas available. And then it's also when you walk in, if you have the deeper water right there, it's more enticing and little kids don't know the depth of the pool. So for that matter, it's easier to have we wanted the shallower water closest to the entrance, so that we protect the children coming in.
Separating the water, is that basically separating the lap pool from the aquatics center? Or?
Yep. Well, we'd like to see, Kerman is in that one design on C, if you actually take the lazy river and the slides and you keep that water together, because again, that's about 3.6 feet for the depth, and then you take that other little mushroom side, yep, right there, Brenda. That is the wading pool, so we'd like to separate that from that water. And then if you look up above, we have the diving area, so that we can get a high dive is what we're hoping, and a low dive for that area besides the lap lanes.
Okay.
Okay, thanks.
Councilor Jameson.
Maybe for Don and/or Mark, Cliff Avenue. Long-term plans, I think, are being looked at as a long bridge over the river, as well as the railroad tracks from 10th Street down to about 14th Street. How will this affect this long-range plan for this park?
Yeah, we did actually had Shannon Austin from City Engineering and Chad Heavey from City Engineering talk to us about the improvements for the future at 10th and Cliff. They did bring up both of those items, along with the expansion of the turn lanes at 10th and Cliff to accommodate the traffic at that intersection. The design that you see here, this master plan, does accommodate the additional turning lanes and additional space within the park and the right-of-way there that they're going to need to accommodate those additional turning lanes. And one of the other concepts that we looked at was trying to put the aquatic center and leave the existing ball field where it was at, which essentially pushed that pool right over to the southeast corner on the north side of Fairfax, which we felt was probably an undesirable location from that future overpass perspective, because you'd be able to essentially be right over the top of that overpass. So, yeah, we did look at all those and believe that this master plan will work nicely with those proposed improvements.
Okay. Thank you.
Councilor Stagers.
Yes, Don, it was mentioned that we're going to be starting on Phase 1. How many phases will we have for this? Any idea?
We've asked the consultants to put a cost estimate together for the balance of the improvements for Nelson Park. We would anticipate that we would program those additional park elements into the CIP plan in out years. And so with this next CIP plan, we would anticipate that we would try to work those projects in from the backside of the CIP, as we call it, so that additional improvements in the future can also be made to the park.
And one other question, if I could ask, how much we projected to pay the consultants?
The consultant contract is $381,000.
Councilor Kavanaugh.
Don, I don't know if I can put my hands on the information, but I was under the impression that if that railroad relocation plan came to fruition, that in fact it may force us to close Fairfax at Cliff. Is that still in the picture?
I'm not sure. Not aware of that, Kevin.
Director Cooper, do you want to come up and add anything to that, to the councilor's question?
Mike Cooper, Planning and Building Services. The railroad overpass report that was done back in 2001 did indicate a future project to create an overpass on Cliff Avenue. And I know that we had discussions about what impact that would have on Fairfax. And my memory is a little fuzzy today, so I don't want to publicly say if that intersection would have to go away or not, but let's go back and take a look at that. And it sounds like there has been some discussion about that recently, but to be honest, I don't recall for sure what the report indicated for that intersection.
Any other questions? Mr. Kearney, I have just a quick question for you, please. If citizens who are viewing this in person or on Channel 16 have any comments or other creative suggestions, what would be the best way for those suggestions to be considered by you and your team?
Probably the best way to do it is to either contact us through our website at siouxfallsparks.org or call our Parks and Recreation office at 367-8222. And if they have additional comments or input, certainly we'll take that into consideration, but also realize that we're moving hopefully headlong into final design on the facility because in order to bid that this winter, we need to keep moving. So
yes, of course. And I do realize we had some well-publicized open houses. So, okay. Any other questions or comments? Okay. Thank you again very much, all of you, for being present on this exciting topic. And now we will move to the next item on our agenda, which is the University Center, which continues to be an exciting new development in our city. And it's very nice to have Dr. Ted Perry from the Board of Regents with us, and Dean Mark Lee, and two regents, Terry Balloon and Carol Pagonis. Welcome, all of you, to our council meeting today, and we look forward to your presentation. And Mark Cotter, our Director of Public Works, will lead off this discussion.
Thank you. Mark Cotter with the Office of Public Works. Tonight, the Executive Dean, Mark Lee, and I will co-lead this discussion. We've talked about this in the past, about a potential partnership for the city to be involved in the reconstruction of Career Avenue. I will give you a brief history on the evolution of this partnership, and then Mark will also add to that, but also give you a project update tonight. It's been about a year in the making that Mark Lee first approached the city with, I would say, a large request asking the city, based on the investment that the University Center is making, that the city reconstruct Career Avenue. And at the time, and in discussions that we've had, is with the taxing on our development-driven streets, at that point, we were not in the position to bring you that type of a recommendation based on how our current policies work. However, as time evolved, a much more reasonable approach was brought forward, and that approach was that with the governor providing $300,000 in funding for this project, Forward Sioux Falls providing $150,000 for this project, a partnership really started to be formed that, with the project cost currently estimated at $1,020,000 approximately, that the city would contribute $500,000 to this project. So that creates funding of about $950,000. There is a balance that the regents will have to make that project total whole. But I think initially, from where we started to where we're at today, I think some of you were at the groundbreaking for this exciting project, that tonight we really can bring you finally what we've been talking about for a few months. We also have a graphic. The concept design, actually getting very close to final design, is showed. Just like for the Drake Springs project, this is another roundabout that's being proposed. With this style of design, this could potentially be 3 new roundabouts constructed in Sioux Falls next year. One for Drake Springs, one on the east side of town, and then this one. And so this memorandum of understanding is an understanding that the city will contribute $500,000. that in relationship to the DOT also providing $300,000, Forward Sioux Falls pledge of $150,000 is contingent on the City of Sioux Falls participating. And so that's a very key point that goes through this. The other piece of this is that the Engineering Department in Public Works constructs and facilitates a lot of road construction, and so it was our preference that we would actually manage the construction and the financial aspects of this project. We will be working hand in hand with Mark's team, but also the Office of the State Engineer to make sure that we coordinate the building projects along with this road construction. Tonight, as we go through the council agenda items, this will be affected by item 12 and item 18. And you'll see that the one actually allows us to receive those donations, sets us up to receive those donations from the DOT, the regions, and Forward Sioux Falls. And the other allows the project to be created and that no additional appropriation would be needed here. There is funds available through a transfer that we can make our participation of $500,000 for this project. And so the mayor is very supportive of this. When we brought this solution to him, we wanted to bring it to you tonight for your consideration. And then before we probably take questions, if Mark wants to give some project background.
Mark Lee, the Executive Dean with the University Center here in Sioux Falls. Just a little bit of background on what is developing into Sioux Falls' public university center. Today, we have nearly 2,100 students attending at the University Center. The vast majority of those students are your citizens coming right from Sioux Falls. Approximately 70% of those students have a Sioux Falls address. And of course, another 10 or 12 or 15% come from one of the immediately surrounding communities, whether it be Brandon or Lenox or T or any of those other communities. So this really is a university center dedicated to the community of Sioux Falls. The project itself that we've been talking about and are now starting to see come out of the ground up in the very quickly developing northwest part of Sioux Falls represents an historic and substantial $28 million investment through the Board of Regents into your community. That investment breaks down into the following components. $6 million had to be acquired to purchase the land. About $6 million, $6.3 million for what has been commonly referred to as the Gear Center, the research building that's being built. And about $15.7 million for the classroom building, and all of course, the site improvements that go into making this a very quality project and something that you will be very proud of when it is operational. So for the first time maybe in 125 years, the state of South Dakota is actually going to have a real presence in public higher education in your community, and I think that's just critical. As far as the project itself and the timeline, we are building right now. There's a lot of site work going on, a lot of excavation going on, and footings are going in, principally in the classroom building side. So if you're ever up, and when you are up on the northwest side of Sioux Falls, don't go down Career Avenue, it's closed. But take 60th Street and go view the site and take a look at the progress that's being made. Our goal is to be in the building, hopefully by December or very early January of 2009, December 2008, January 2009, so that we will actually be conducting classes in the spring semester 2009. And according to the last results, or the last projection I had from the contractor, we still are on schedule, and we continue to pray for days like today. Things are going very well with that particular schedule. That's an update on the University Center and the project and where we are today. I don't want to take any more of your time other than to be available, of course, for questions. Councilor Knudsen.
Any questions or comments? Councilor Costello.
My question is for Mark. How much extra does the roundabout add to the project?
They're both named Mark. Okay.
At this point, I don't have a breakdown. I'd be speculating if that range was 15 to 20% more. But it's also we've also got a fairly busy intersection there that we're going to have to consider some type of traffic maneuvering mechanism, and just with the up and coming roundabouts and what they've been done across the country, this seemed to be a good fit.
Thank you.
Councilor Brown.
A question for you, Mark. First of all, what was the total cost? $300,000 from the state government, Forward Sioux Falls $150,000, city $500,000. What was the total cost of the project?
Total estimated cost of the project, the last estimate we've received from their consulting firm is $1,020,114. And so essentially, we've got an item tonight that has the first reading that allows us to receive donations in the form of $300,000 from the DOT, $150,000 from Forward Sioux Falls, and then $70,114 from the regions to make that total whole. Okay.
And then a follow-up for Mike Cooper. There's been talk of developments going north of there, and how will that impact the traffic on this street?
There is a very good chance that we'll see a substantial amount of commercial and other development on the north side of 60th Street. And the goal is to work with the University Center to discourage this career avenue from becoming a through street. And so it's critical that the roundabout be incorporated into the design. We expect that the intersection of 60th Street will be a major signalized intersection. We are hoping and working towards making Marion Road the major arterial route of choice through that area. And so, as you heard earlier tonight, this is one of this will be the first roundabout. There'll probably be at least one more along this section of roadway, and we believe that that's very critical to discourage again this from becoming a thoroughfare. It's also going to help accommodate pedestrian flow through the campus area. We're not supposed to use the word campus, sorry. The University Center grounds, and we're working with them on a possible future transit stop in this area. So there's a lot of things that we're doing in the works to work with the University Center, Regents, and in making this a compatible project for their needs as well as for the other development that we expect around the city. So I think the goal of us being city staff is to come up with a design that will accommodate the needs of the University Center, but will discourage this from becoming a through traffic carrier.
Thanks, Mike.
Councilor Kavanaugh?
Mark, can you talk a little bit about the two projects you identified, 26th and Berkshire and 85th and Louise, where the source of funding would be for the city's $500,000?
Yes. First of all, the 26th Street in Berkshire, that was a project that was identified in last year's CIP. We did not get that started, and so what we did is, and you've seen that come through with other transfers throughout the year, that project is fully loaded again in 2008, and so we've used that project for items like this to carry us through for the year. It is an appropriated project. However, just with timing, we did not get that project started.
So you're taking, for example, the Berkshire project, those are $2007 dollars?
They were, yes.
Okay. So, but again, it's included in the 2008 CIP?
It is. It's fully loaded, and we expect to complete that widening next year.
Same thing with 85th and Louise?
There was available funds left over from that project. We've had very good competitive bids, and so that's where we'll also get that balance.
Thanks.
Okay.
Councilor Stagers?
Yeah, I have a number of questions. Mark, you mentioned we have another roundabout on the east side. Where's that going to be at?
That will be incorporated into the proposed target development area of the Dolly Farm Village, as it's currently laid out and designed.
Okay. And also, too, I can't really read the information on the slide up there, but this is where everything that's in color we're going to be spending $1 million on. Is that fair to say? Or in other words, what does $1 million buy? We have a roundabout, but that doesn't cost $1 million. So
the roadway improvements that are shaded is approximately a quarter of a mile long, and everything that has either a color associated with that is incorporated into that estimate, which is the $1,020,000.
And the red, are those bike paths or what? Anything?
There is the colored the concrete for the curb and gutter is shown there as pink. The light blue is asphalt. The green is turf in the medians. There's also in the middle of the roundabout that's also turf, but I would expect that that'll be landscaped. But that's the general layout. It'll be an asphalt roadway with concrete curb and gutters.
And then Mike Cooper mentioned there's probably going to be another roundabout in this area. Where's that going to be at?
No, I mentioned that we'll see one, just as Don Carney just spoke of, near the Drake Springs Pool.
I think, Mike, did you mention another one in the area?
Yeah, Councilor Stagers, this particular section of the road doesn't take the redevelopment of Career Avenue all the way to the boundary of the property that the regions currently have. So we contemplated another roundabout that would be relatively close to where you see the color, the shading end. However, we thought because at this point we don't have any development going on down there, we just didn't think it was necessary or wise to be spending a bunch of money to redevelop that street or build that roundabout at this juncture and speculate that it'd be in the exact right spot when we eventually do develop farther south. So that's why that I think that was the reference. And then the thought of replicating the roundabout like you see here further south as another way to organize buildings around it was the thought. But again, that's well into the future.
If I could ask a question, too. Mark, you mentioned about 2,100 students are attending. What's your FTE this year?
1,160.
1,160. And also, if I could ask one more question. Is the city going to be owning the streets, or...
Did you ask, is the city going to own the street?
Yes. Are we going to... Is that going to be our street, or will it be the...
This will be public right-of-way.
Okay.
That's right. And so we will do the snow removal for this street.
Has there been any thought about letting them have the street so they can control it the way they want to without having to worry about, a lot of commercial traffic going through?
Well, I think as we travel south, this is obviously going to be a key collector street. So at this point, we wouldn't be interested in having them have this as a private drive. Okay.
Councilor Litz?
Mark, I see that, we've got four corners here, and I'm confident that this will all fill in, and considering the nature and the uses of this here, I'm looking at are they pedestrian crosswalks with waiting areas out in the median that are typical with a roundabout like this? Is that what's planned for pedestrian traffic?
Yes, there's, if I had a pointer. Not very steady with these. This is a crosswalk. Here's another one. And so we try to get to the narrowest point, but there's also refuge areas out in those medians. And so there's the link all the way around.
Will there be traffic signals as well, Mark?
No. If you have a chance, and we can send it back out, but Public Works did a fact sheet on roundabouts a few months back. And there are jurisdictions across the country that are going to this standard. And if you want a normal four-legged signalized intersection, you actually have to justify the need for that because of the capital cost and also the operational requirements of that. And so if the traffic gets fairly balanced, every move's basically a free right, and they move traffic very efficiently.
Thank you, Mark.
Councilor Costello?
Just from a comment, if I recall at a UDC meeting we had a presentation on roundabouts, and I believe, don't the studies show that they're safer for pedestrians than a typical intersection?
I'd have to check on that, but I would certainly expect that, there are more refuge areas for that to actually occur. And it should, it should allow people to, just in the geometric design, people are going to have to slow down and make those turning movements. And so there should be some pretty good visibility out there as well.
Dean Lee, I have a quick question for you. For those people who are watching this presentation tonight, would you remind us what the website is for University Center? if people want to go on and maybe register for a class.
You bet. The website is www.sduniversitycenter.org.
Thank you very much.
You bet.
Any other questions or comments? Okay. Thank you all very much, and again, we welcome Dr. Perry and our regents who are with us. And by the way, we really enjoyed hosting you in our building a few weeks ago, and we hope you'll come back again for a town hall meeting in the near future. Okay, any other items that any of you want to discuss? If not, I'm going to call the informational adjourned for today so that the Land Use Committee can meet next door within just a couple minutes, as soon as the chairman wants to call that meeting to order.